Who would have thought that Peter Parker, the dorky loser with no riz and unfunny jokes, was secretly a playboy with a harem that banged almost every chick in Marvel? But Peter's love life isn't all sunshine and rainbows, because other than web swinging, what is Peter most known for? Suffering. Number 12. Leanne Tang. When Peter was in his adulting arc, yes, Peter actually ages until he gets resets. He banged one of his co-workers, and that bang transitioned to a healthy relationship, or so it seemed. Leanne was perfectly compatible with Peter. Low maintenance, non-intrusive, intelligent, and charismatic. Unfortunately, perfection is too good to be true, because behind the scenes, she was leaking Peter's info and tech to Scorpion. Now, was this because Leanne is a cheating skank who was getting raw dogged by the Scorpion? No, it's more empathetic than that. Leanne's mother is terminally ill, and she needed the funds to help pay for her care. Now, why couldn't Leanne just ask her boyfriend, who is also the owner of the Spider Tech company, for assistance? I guess he's a broke cheapskate, or maybe she's just dumb. Leanne's pseudo-cheating was going well until Scorpion's ego got too greedy and demanded that she help backdoor Spider-Man. Peter would eventually find out, and the relationship would just fizzle out. Not even a formal breakup on panel, it's just never brought up again. Number 11. Michelle Gonzalez. If you thought your girl leaking your credit card info to your enemy was bad, then how about just a complete dysfunctional relationship since the beginning? In Spider-Man One More Day, Peter and MJ made a deal with Mephisto to save Aunt May's life. However, there's always a monkey paw scenario. In exchange for Aunt May's life, Peter and MJ's marriage was wiped from history. They still remember each other, but lack the romantic tension they once had. MJ moved on quick and started dating other people, of course. Classic Marvel. And Peter didn't want to intrude on her life, so he moved on as well. Then one day Peter met a lawyer named Michelle Gonzalez. Ironically, she detested Peter initially. She felt that he was immature and irresponsible, though they ended up getting drunk and humped toes. This was the start of a terribly toxic relationship, built off lust with no romantic chemistry. The breaking point of the relationship was one night Michelle had angry makeup sex with Peter as usual, and didn't even remember the coochie. This pissed her off. She felt violated. Number 10. Deborah Witman. Peter being a distant bum is a troubling trend because he did this girl bad. Peter met Deborah at school and she was immediately fangirling over him, and this turned Peter off. You would think Deborah being a socially awkward dork would kindle his flames, but nope, he just found her obnoxious, yet he dated her anyway. I guess the constant glaze is too powerful. Over time, Deborah would notice Peter constantly disappearing to do Spider-Man shenanigans obviously, but she didn't know this. Whenever she asked about his whereabouts, he avoided questions. This would cause her to become mentally insane. The constant lies and avoidance will result in Deborah becoming insecure and suspicious. She became so suspicious that she deducted that Peter was Spider-Man, not with logic, just with crazed obsession and desperation for answers. Deborah's mental health would deteriorate significantly, resulting in paranoia. Eventually, she would publicly accuse Peter of being Spider-Man in a crazed outburst. Nobody believed her, obviously. That dorky doofus dude ain't no hero. This resulted in her being hospitalized and put in psychiatric care, which ironically resulted in her becoming a psychiatrist herself to warn women to avoid deadbeat bums like Peter Parker. Number 9. Anna Maria. Ironically, Peter's healthiest relationship so far is him being put in a cup chair. In Superior Spider-Man, Dr. Octopus hijacked Peter Parker's body, then met Anna Maria at Peter's school. She immediately noticed Otto's aura naturally oozing riz from Peter's body. His intelligence, competence, confidence, and drive all resonated with her, resulting in a very compatible relationship. Unlike Peter, Otto isn't afraid to speak his mind. He will take control and isn't avoidant to his problem. Though all good things must come to an end, because she eventually found out that Peter was actually Dr. Octopus, and after Peter regained his body, rather than ditching him like a piece of trash, she stood by his side like a G, professionally, not romantically. Hell, she even got her octopus meat back, because Dr. Octopus genuinely did care about her. So kudos to Anna, best girl. Number 8. Gwen Stacy. Gwen is Peter's most tragic girlfriend. Hell, most people only know her for dying. But what was their actual relationship like? Well, ironically, she didn't even like Peter at first. She was in love with Flash Thompson, aka Peter's op. Initially, she was disgusted by Peter's loser dorky nature. She wanted a shallow relationship with the popular kid. But once she grew to learn more about Peter, her drawers dropped. Compared to most of Peter's girlfriends, Gwen was arguably the most attached, almost to a level of overdependence. And as per usual, when Peter dipped to pull off his Spider-Man shenanigans, she got anxious and insecure. MJ was actually a love rival to Gwen. This is why she logically concluded that Peter was cheating on her with MJ because he obviously liked her too. She was wrong, of course, but Peter's refusal to tell the truth made her believe he was lying and cheating. Ironically, Peter didn't appreciate Gwen to the fullest until her death. It's a shame because Gwen truly loved that man. Most of Peter's relationships are just chill. Few of his girlfriends were as affectionate as Gwen. This is why Miles is a better boyfriend. Number 7. Mary J. Watson. Now I know this is a hot take that may get me crucified, but hear me out. OG MJ is Peter's soulmate. New MJ is a completely different person than old MJ, aka Marvel ruined her. In current 616 Comics, the main universe, there was a major shift in Peter and MJ's relationship. Benjamin Rabin sent Peter and MJ to another Earth. Peter managed to escape, but MJ was left stranded for 4 years. Then she met Paul. Oh boy, the demon himself, the most hated character of all time, Paul. MJ and Paul clicked and adopted 2 children. Eventually, Peter will find a way to save MJ, but instead of a happy reunion, he's met with the Cupture. And this led to a long and uncomfortable arc where MJ and Peter's relationship was dead. Peter wanted answers and to reconnect, but MJ was cold and distant. MJ didn't want to reconcile, she's moved on, which is understandable. Though this triggered fans, because this is such a jarring change to their dynamic, ending one of the longest golden relationships in Marvel. It doesn't help that Paul has a punchable smug face. But honestly, Paul didn't do anything wrong. He wasn't hostile to Peter, he didn't gloat that he stole his woman. He just protected his girl like anyone would do against a scorned ex. But wait, if you thought the Cupture was bad, oh no, it gets worse. While MJ is receiving back shots from Paul, she eventually develops superpowers. How did MJ get superpowers? Well, the coochie was so good that Paul felt the need to reward MJ. He developed a bracelet with a tech that came from the other dimension. And this is the birth of Jackpot, the most corniest hero created. Jackpot's powers are completely random, so RNG. What this actually means, she's a Mary Sue that does whatever the authors need her to do. This resulted in MJ upstaging Spider-Man, so of course fans were livid. Tom Barut, a Marvel comic editor, stated, if readers are having a strong emotional reaction, even anger, it means the story is engaging them. So Marvel is literally trolling the fans. There's a reason the biggest meme of Spider-Man is suffering. Though the last straw that broke the relationship of both MJ and Paul and the fan support for Marvel is the kids that kindled the flame between MJ and Paul turning out to not be kids at all. It turned out that the kids were actually magical constructs created by Rabin, and once he was defeated, they disappeared. So this home-wrecking arc was actually a wacky elaborate plan to put Peter in a Cupture. Holy crap, this is so weird. It sounds like a porn plot. But props to Rabin, he's Spider-Man's most successful villain. And once the kids disappeared, MJ and Paul broke up. And this really pissed off fans ironically, because what's the point? All the lustful humping they have for each other just vanished because of kids? All this nonsensical drama feels pointless. But maybe Peter and MJ got back together. Nope. MJ still wasn't feeling Peter, I guess because Paul's meat hits different, and she continued being a Temu superhero. As of now, as far as I'm aware, her current status is playing with Venom? Okay. Number 6. Betty Brant. Most fans only know of MJ and Gwen. Our Black Cat thanks to rivals. But Betty Brant is the OG girlfriend way before MJ. She's basically MJ light. But the problem with the dynamic is the same with most of Peter's relationships. Avoidance of the truth. The constant dipping to do Spider-Man shenanigans, lies, and breaking of promises led to Betty feeling insecure and untrustful. Though unlike Deborah, she didn't have a mental breakdown. No, she's very loyal. She stuck with Peter for a long time, hoping their relationship would fix itself, but obviously that didn't work out, and it's Peter's fault. Though even after their breakup, Betty stayed in Peter's life as a supportive friend for a while. And after both of their spouses got murdered, wow. She tried to rebound with Peter, but it didn't work because they were both grieving over their lost partners. But she still deserves to be ranked over MJ because she's basically a Temu version of the good MJ. Number 5. Carlie Cooper. This is when Spider-Man banged a cop. Peter met Carlie through mutual circles and they immediately clicked. It resulted in one of his most stable relationships. Unfortunately, the everlasting pattern led to its demise. Spider-Man. Carlie was analyzing crime scenes and began suspecting that Peter might be Spider-Man because of evidence and coincidences. Once she confirmed the truth, this greatly upset her because she felt betrayed and emotionally manipulated. Her issue wasn't that Peter is Spider-Man. The issue is that he didn't trust her. She's a detective. She loves solving crime. This could have been a power couple. Spider-Man would have had his own oracle. So she left to preserve her own self-respect. Number 4. Bobby Morse, aka Mockingbird. Peter met Bobby through superhero circles, like an office employee meets their soulmate at Google. They immediately click because they are both top-tier respected heroes and there's romantic chemistry. And what makes Bobby perfect is unlike most of his girlfriends, she's a superhero, so she kicks ass. Their relationship was non-problematic, casual, and adult. But all good things must come to an end, because eventually their personalities will begin to clash. Bobby is an independent, powerful woman who takes no nonsense from anyone, while Peter is insecure, self-sabotaging, and chaotic. Bobby wanted to live as a professional hero, an avenger, but Peter is addicted to the streets. It doesn't help that Peter has a lot of baggage, so he needs a permanent therapist. That's why MJ is perfect. Well, old MJ. So unfortunately, they naturally drifted apart. Number 3. Black Cat. Black Cat, aka Felicia Hardy, is one of Peter's most hectic relationships. First of all, it's obviously a riff on Batman and Catwoman. The Boy Scout superhero flirted with crime. Will Peter be seduced to the dark side, or will he redeem the villainess? This is the crux of their relationship. Felicia's out stealing something, then Peter confronts her, they have flirty boxing, then they have sex. What makes their relationship click is that Felicia is a thrill seeker drawn to danger. This is why she loves Spider-Man. Though typically she doesn't care about Peter. She loves the mask and the danger it brings, but Peter is a dweeb. Though this is not always the case, it just depends on the writer. Compared to most of his girlfriends, Felicia is most compatible with Spider-Man. There's no need to hide his identity. He matches his goofy nature, as both are charismatic clowns and she loves to hump. Unlike Mockingbird, Felicia lives for the streets. She's not high and mighty that's against kicking it in the ghetto. She encourages Peter to embrace himself as Spider-Man, aka the friendly neighborhood street hero. Honestly, there's very little negative tension between the two. The only drama is the obvious. She is kind of a criminal, it depends on the story. Most of the time, she's an anti-hero. What typically ends their relationship is Black Cat wanting to be a dirty Steve. And no matter how good the cat coochie is, Spider-Man is still a hero. so he breaks up with Black Cat and goes back to obsessing over his redhead queen. But if Batman and Catwoman can work, then Spider-Man and Black Cat can too. The writers need to stop being cowards. Number 2. Kitty Pryde. I'm sure it's a surprise to most casuals that Peter hooked up with an X-Men, but a lot of mutant chicks like Peter. Marvel is just obsessed with keeping him glued to MJ. Peter met Kitty during a crossover event, and they instantly clicked. Both are awkward nerds with good hearts. And Peter just came off of a breakup with MJ, so he needed a rebound. Compared to Peter's other superhero girlfriends, Kitty is the best choice, because unlike Mockingbird, she's grounded and chill, and unlike Black Cat, she's not a criminal. Also, they just look perfect together. Peter can't handle Black Cat, and Mockingbird, This relationship was extremely healthy because Peter was relaxed and actually honest. Also, Peter has the most chemistry with Kitty over any of his girlfriends, even MJ. They're both playful, they're both chill, and they're both genuine. But of course, Marvel can't escape the redhead curse, because Peter was still obsessed over MJ. So as expected, they made Peter run back with his dick dragging across the floor to MJ's pants. Number 1. Chat. Yes, that's the real name. Who would have thought that an obscure character, a literal nobody, would be Peter's best girlfriend? Put her in Marvel Rivals. Chat is a mutant who can communicate with animals, and Peter met Chat during the animal crisis. Chat helped Peter solve the problem, and Peter is immediately interested in her. And here's the one thing that makes their relationship unique. There is literally no chaos nor drama. No superhero killed Chat, no distrust and betrayal, and no dishonesty from Peter. They have the healthiest relationship because Chat is patient and understanding, resulting in Peter being relaxed as he has someone to vent to, and we all know Peter needs a permanent therapist. Even though she took interest in Spider-Man, she genuinely loves Peter more than the mask. Also, because of her powers, she's able to pick up on emotions easily. Empathy is basically her second superpower. This results in no unnecessary drama. And you know what the biggest surprise of this relationship is? It didn't end. There was no grand breakup, Chat didn't die, it just never ended. That's because the story got cancelled, I think. This is for the best. Not every relationship needs an end. Sometimes they just continue to exist. It seems like Peter should just date mutants from now on. They are most compatible with him. Who is Spider-Man's best girlfriend in your opinion? Or is there someone he's never dated before that he should?